Welcome back again, friends and fans. Raptor here, and welcome back to the inside of the armory here on Wargame Red Dragon as we talk about what the deck. That's right, the series that tells you everything you need to know about all the units in Wargame Red Dragon, but most importantly, though, the way they function. Not again trying to suggest one unit over another, but just to kind of show you exactly the differences between them. So previously we covered ships and took a long time to do so. And again, is the same with ships. We have all the aircraft available for blue for, and it'll be from different countries, so I'm more familiar with them from Wargame Air Land Battle. But anyway, welcome back again. If I make any mistakes, go ahead and point any down below, or of course things could change. If you got any more information about these aircraft, go ahead and let us know. If you're in the Navy, if you work on an aircraft carrier, go ahead and tell us about some of your experiences with ASMs and or the aircraft that carry them. More specifically, we're going to be talking about aircraft from probably the mid 80s to late 80s, as a lot of these carry some pretty advanced weaponry. But anyway, for now, we're going to cover just the aircraft, so that includes helicopters as well. And first, we're going to start with those that carry ASMs, and then we'll go on to air superiority fighters, where the Tomcat has gone for a lot of you who are big fans of that. And then we'll move on to the helicopters that also carry ASMs as well. So we'll just go right down the line. There's no need to cover any plane in a different order, since some of them are like air superiority meets ASM, but all of these do carry ASMs. It just also depends on kind of how they carry it and or their speed and such. So we'll go over that. We'll start with the A6E Tram Intruder. Carries the typical harpoon, the AGM-84 that can fire 4 missiles from 5,600 meters, 65% accuracy. A little frustrating too, by the way, since a lot of these aircraft seem to almost be able to run into the ship before they're able to fire all of their missiles. In fact, this could maybe fire 2 missiles until it needs to either move on to another ship or be evac'd. I wouldn't recommend firing all 4 missiles, otherwise this thing's going to get killed. And for 140 points, that's a pretty price to pay. And if you're going to lose an aircraft for taking out a ship. This is very good, by the way. These aircraft are very good for finishing off ships, not necessarily just destroying them all on their own. These must be used in conjunction with some sort of a naval impact or naval attack or naval something. So try to use forces on the ground, helicopters, and these all in conjunction to get the best results. Again, this is the A6E Tram, 750 kilometers per hour. We're going to talk in kilometers and not knots now. Whew, thanks. ECM is 30 as well, so that's pretty good. Time on time, well, they call it time over target, but I'll call it time on target, is 85 seconds, so that's pretty good. Gives you a long amount of time to take the long way around and get to the side of a ship to where it could be less defended. Up next is the CF-18 ASW. It's got the same harpoon on it, ×4, also armed with the familiar AIM-9 missile and the 20mm cannon as well. Nice thing is this could fire 1 or 2 rounds, 1 or 2 missiles, and then go somewhere else, and then engage other fighters, and or be an escort for instance, the A6E Tram, or you could also assist a friend by calling one of these out and try to support them via that way. Keep in mind that for 180 points, that's a pretty big price to pay, but it can travel at 1,000 kilometers per hour, so it can get to where it needs to go immediately, and has very good ECM and very good air detection as well. 40% on the ECM and very good on the air detection, which means that it'll be able to see enemy aircraft, and I believe that also includes text hint. It also includes helicopters as well, I'm assuming. So let's just assume that. If I'm wrong, just go ahead and say, nope, that's only aircraft, or oh, nope, that's only helicopters, or oh, it's glitched, you can only see recon units or something. So give that information down below, please. All right, we'll move on then to the Starfighter, which is a good old favorite. The F-104G Starfighter, German aircraft. Love the Starfighter, very underestimated aircraft. And by the way, this is a really nice aircraft. Really, I don't know what to say other than that this can basically go straight in, fire its missiles, have 60% accuracy, and get out only for 60 points. So you could call in 2 of these, which will double your chances of launching the missiles before they're destroyed for less than the price of a Tram Intruder or a CF-18 ASW. The Starfighter is capable of traveling at 750, but has a horrible ECM, and thus it will probably be shot down by any sort of fighter. It'll take fire from them and then be almost immediately destroyed. It does have a 20mm Vulcan cannon on it as well, which means it could take out an enemy recon chopper or a transport of some sort, or even a command that's moving around with its cannon, but really use this only for the ASM. Radar guided ×2. By the way, these are fire and forget, so once these missiles are fired from their longer ranges, for instance, the AGM-84 is 5,600, but this is a very closer 4,200 meters on the AS-34, the Cormoran, Cormoran. Huh, interesting. First time I've seen that, though, but keep in mind that, yes, the reload time is 1 second on these two, so it can fire pretty quick, and when you need to break off, then just go ahead and hit that evac button and possibly get back to base. 1960 on that. 1991, a very advanced fighter is the Tornado MFG, the manufacturer of death. That's right, the Mauser BK-27, 27mm cannon mounted on that. It also has the Cormoran 2, which has 4,900 meter range and 75% accuracy. Very deadly, very decisive. The silver bullet in taking out enemy ships. This is also armed with the AIM-9 missile and can engage with 50% accuracy there as well. For 170 points, I would just get in and get out ASAP. 40% ECM. Air detection, very good, 1,000 kilometers an hour. Very good things to keep in mind here. Fuel capacity is very small, too. I should mention a lot of these aircraft, you may want to go the long way around, but they're going to run out of fuel pretty quick. So make sure the way is clear for these aircraft to come into the side of a ship and unload their payload, and that's going to be the most effective way to take them out. Up next is the F-16A Block 1-5, or Block 1S. I believe it is the 1-5, though. Again, 5s and S's and 1s and I's are pretty hard to determine. So, very interesting weapon here, armed with the Penguin. So here we have the F-16A with the 20mm and the AIM-9L. All aircraft so far have been armed with the AIM-9L or the AIM-9M, other than the Intruder for 140 points. You'd think the Intruder then would be a little more affordable, but so basically same ECM, air detection, and speed as the previous aircrafts, with some minor changes between there. But this aircraft carries the Penguin, which engages from 4,550 meters for 60% accuracy. Very interesting looking anti-ship missile too, if I must say. Very neat name too. These are only 2 missiles though, so keep in mind you're going to probably want to take out something no bigger than, well, either finishing off a frigate maybe, or anything less than that. I would not use, by the way, would not risk these kinds of aircraft on for instance smaller PT boats or smaller river boats, unless you know that you can get out in and out undetected and or just lickety split. No risk to your aircraft. Otherwise I would not engage ships out in the open with this kind unless they're very small or you need more numbers out on the field. The FA-18E Super Hornet is very similar to the F-16 block, except it's just better at everything it does. Exceptional air detection, 50% ECM, 1,000 kilometers per hour on the speed as well. The AGM-84, of course, we're very familiar with, and it works so well that they use it on almost everything. Almost every ship gets it, almost every aircraft gets it. It's a very capable weapon. ×4 on that, as well as the AIM-9 and the 20mm. Again, think of this as our previous F-18 review, except replace any ATGM with a harpoon or any type of air-to-ship missile. Now, we have a lot of people's favorites, the Aardvark, that is armed with this is the F111G, the AGM-84, and it has 4 of those. Now, the differences between the tram we're going to go over because these are very similar aircraft. So, for a whopping 5 extra points, here's what you get. You have a little worse ECM, 20% rather than 30%, but can travel versus 750, it can travel 1,000 kilometers. It can only be in the air for 80 seconds versus 85, and the weapon is exactly the same. So think of it this way. If you don't necessarily need to be sneaky and you need to just finish off enemy ships that are available, go ahead and call in the F111G. It could also be a nice thing to call in addition with the Tram Intruder, so these two working together might actually be very effective. By the way, this is for the markings too. By the way, obviously the previous aircraft Tram was operated by the Marines, as you can see the whopping logo on the side. But speaking of whopping logos, you have the little kangaroo there, which means she's from Austria. No, I'm just kidding. Australia. Yes, so from Australia, you have the F111G. Again, this is the Anzac marker. I do believe there's a Kiwi when it's a New Zealand-based aircraft and or weapon, but I'm not exactly sure if the Kiwis take care of the ground forces and the Australians are in the air, or vice versa. But anyway, that would be a nice thing for you to tell me down below. I'm not exactly sure, so go ahead and teach me something today as I teach you more about Wargame Red Dragon. Yeah. So anyway, that's a very nice, very good conjunction aircraft that are, they're both of them are very, very similar, although the 10% different ECM could result in massively different results. Just keep that in mind that they're very good when used together. Super Nintendo! No, the Super Enitard. Yes, the 80-point Super Enitard. Wow, that is actually probably the most combat effective weapon on the battlefield. Super Enitard. So, let's compare these two here. Now, again, I always try to refrain from comparing, but a lot of you are going to ask, and it's just good to point out the differences between them. So the Starfighter versus the Super Nintendo. So Super Enitard on the right gets the AM-37 Exorcism, or the Exocet, as we see here. However, it only has one missile versus the Starfighter's 2 missiles. Both of the aircraft are somewhat similar. Both travel at 750, although the one on the right, the Super Enitard, has a very different ECM at 20% versus nothing, which is very effective, and not to mention a 30mm cannon, which can also do some damage to some ships. In fact, I would hope, and would be nice, by the way, if ASM missiles could fire first, and then the twin DEFA 550s could fire as well. Also, these are capable of taking down enemy helicopters as well, so good for taking out recon. So for 20 more points, you get an aircraft that can deliver a more exact bomb or missile, but does a little less, let's see, a little less damage. HE power of the Cormoran is a little bit more, but anyway, you'll have to compare those weapons on your own time, and make sure you're doing that before selecting your deck as well, to make sure things have not changed very much. So again, two nicely comparable aircraft there, very affordable options for taking out enemy ships. Finally, we finish with the Tornado, or finish the aircraft at least, the Tornado GR1B. The GR1B comes with the Sea Eagle, can fire at 5250 at 60% accuracy. You'll find that a lot of the anti-ship missiles, well, hell, they better be accurate, because one, they're firing at, in most cases, I would hope, at the broadside of a barn, and also that they're a huge missile that should have very accurate weapon systems on it as well, because they've got plenty of room and a very big payload to deliver as well. Here we have a weapon again from the GB, the UK, the UK, and it's going to scare the UK out of anything with the nice 27mm cannon on it, the Mauser, and or is this German? Who knows? I'm actually not sure. I could have made a mistake there, but I'm assuming the markings are correct. I would hope anyway. But what we do know is it does come with AIM-9Ls, which are 50% accuracy. Only 2 of them, though. So they could take out, perhaps, you could call these out to take out a Chinese aircraft that doesn't have any weapons of its own. So keep in mind that these not only are good because they can be called out over the... One thing I should cover too, by the way, is I do not know, or I do not think, or I'm not exactly sure if naval aircraft can be called out from standard aircraft call-out positions. And I would assume, and I think you will all agree, that the answer to that is no. I do not think naval aircraft can be called out over standard aircraft call-out zones, and I do not believe standard aircraft can be called out over naval zones. So if you need a naval support fighter, it's going to have to be an actual naval aircraft. And keep in mind, in the ship-only battles, these are going to be the only aircraft you get. So these could be, the King of the Sky could be the Super Hornet because of its speed, its AIM-9Ls that can fire and hit with 60% accuracy at 3,500 meters versus the 3,150, where you really got to get almost within gun range in order to fire a missile. So the GR1B, I guess, I would assume, I believe that is the UK. I'm not familiar with any of the markings or anything, but anyway, just inform me and tell me what all those markings are about and everything, but I'm pretty certain that's what it is. So again, we have a 20% accuracy, very good, 1,000 kilometers per hour, a little less accurate missile than or a little less range on that missile than usual. So you went from 56 for the Tram, or the 5250 with 60% accuracy times 2. Very big missiles, very capable missiles, and again, a good finisher to any attack on enemy ships. 75 seconds over the target. And let's go on then to interceptors. I guess I said we were going to move on to something else. We were going to move on to helicopters, but the Tomcat. That's right, if you have a problem with enemy aircraft engaging your ships, or you want to keep them at bay, or you want them not to call out aircraft against you whatsoever, once they see the F-14 Tomcat for 155 points, they're going to think twice, 3 times, 4, 5, or 6 times about calling anything out. With 30% ECM, exceptional air detection, 1,000 kilometers per hour, and 90 seconds that it can stay over the target zone, very, very, very formidable foe. 20mm cannon, 4 radar-guided missiles that can fire an outstandingly incredible 11900. That's 11,900 meters on the AIM-54 Phoenix. 40% accuracy, though if it hits, it's basically going to make any aircraft it hits immediately evac or blow it out of the sky, and definitely don't want to see this fighting up against you. However, if this is used by a newer player and they just fly it right over your ships, there's 155 points you can easily gobble up. AIM-9 missiles it fires as well, times 2, 50% accuracy on that, so it can bro down even at close range, and that's really neat because usually air superiority fighters must be air superiority fighters from a distance, but this one can get up close with the Vulcan cannon and the infrareds as well, not to mention a long distance with the AIM-54. Good to lure and skewer with these, by the way. Call these out over your aircraft and see if you can lead the enemy to you, and or call them out behind your naval forces, so that way the only way they can destroy this is by getting real up close and personal. This is the only aircraft I'm aware of so far that does not carry an ASM and is specifically air superiority, as you can see here. All right, let's move on then. I was going to say that was it for the aircraft, but we are moving on now to helicopters. We have helicopters, the only type of helicopters that are anti-ship. Speaking of which, we have President Obama's personal transport. No, I'm just kidding. But it is the very similar aircraft, the Puma, the AS-3332F Super Puma. This does transport the president. I do believe that is the official transport, the Marine helicopter. But this was armed with Aeropostale weapons. Yes, from Aeropostale, the clothing store, they bundle up all the cologne that they spray in those damn stores, and it's concentrated in the tip of the weapon, which makes it the most deadliest weapon ever created. No, just kidding. But it does come with the AM-39 Exorcist, or the Exocet. I like calling it the Exorcist, though. 4,900 meters, got to get a little close before you engage, but 70% accuracy, and a pretty good HE power of 3. That's going to make the ship panic, at least. You could do a sucker punch and finish off with your ships while you're engaging with the Super Pumas. Keep in mind, again, you can only engage with these aircraft in groups of 2, 300 kilometers per hour, and optics on sea craft are very good. It cannot see other aircraft very good. In 1982 it was made. Interesting. Move on then to the, wow, these are going to have some tricky names. The AS-565MB Panther, another Marine weapon. I do believe these are French Marines, so that may be necessary. That French Marines as well. It looks very much like the U.S. helicopter as well. Just the colors, though. That's really what's making me think that. But we'll move on then to the Panther, armed with the AS-15TT, 4 of those, and it also has a, looks like that might be an instrument for searching for, I don't know, that could be looking for submarines or something. Wow, that's interesting. If you're familiar with that aircraft, let me know what that is on the front. I'm not exactly sure what that could be for. Stealth is poor on this, though. 300 again, optics at sea, it's exceptional. Oh, you know what, that actually might be a radar. That actually might be what that is. It's a radar dish to see even further, or perhaps to give the weapon a greater accuracy, as the accuracy on this is 80%. Times 4, this is going to be the one you're going to want to get in there and give the final couple stabs. This is like a prison shank. This is the Shanker. The MB Shanker. Don't call it the Panther. This is the Shanker. It's going to go in there and go 4 times. I know I made 3 sound effects there, but 4 good quick hits on an enemy ship, and it could take it down. In fact, if this was to stun a command ship, you could definitely roll in with other aircraft and move in with your Navy while they were still trying to recover. This is going to be bad news if you can get close enough with it, though. With 3850, it's going to be a hard thing to hit. By the way, HE power is only 2, so again, this is kind of to stun and run rather than to actually kill anything with. But very good. Again, it could, could destroy riverboats. Or actually, that'd be a very good thing to keep near canals and such, as it has 4 missiles and is extremely accurate. 80% accuracy is absolutely insane. So keep that in mind. But keep it well defended. 60 points each on those. Let's move on to the links. The Ha S.2, I believe the HA is the Royal Navy, of course. So there you go. Good confirmation on that being a British unit. We have the Sea Squaw, semi-active radar. By the way, it should be noted that only the first one is fire and forget on the Super Puma. The Panther must be stationary in order to fire. As you see here, it says semi-active, so the missile is guided but can be fired on the move. Its operator needs to aim at the target until the impact. So you can jinx side to side, but you must be pointed at the aircraft at the naval vessel until the point of impact. Moving on then, we have the Lynx HA again, just to cover that a little further. Again, these speeds are all the same. They're all at 300, and the only differences are they are either very good or exceptional at detecting enemy ships. We do have a weapon here that has 60% accuracy and 2 HE power, very similar to the Panther, but where it lacks in accuracy, it makes up for in a little bit of a distance, almost 200 meters worth. Very good. No external weapons on these and on any of these, so these are strictly ASM weapons only, or at least that's what they carry. Speaking of fire and forget, again from previously, another American weapon, the Penguin, firing SH-60B ASM, fires a Penguin from 4,550 meters. 60% accuracy on that as well, and optics at sea are exceptional, very exceptional, very good. Only 2 of those, so it's kind of again kind of a run and gun kind of aircraft, but you're not going to kill as much as you would with the Panther. I would definitely recommend the Panther for defending canals. The Sea Squaw, that's going to be good in good numbers. The Puma, you're going to want to engage from with a distance, and the SH-60 is kind of almost a cross between distance. It's like the Super Puma met up with the Lynx a little bit, kind of. But there you go. So that's it for the helicopters. That's it for the aircraft. That's it for the interceptors as well. Again, we have other weapons that can be brought in via transports and such. We'll get into those a little bit later, as we've mostly covered those. For instance, the Grizzlies here. We'll just kind of cover basically in the future what units can be transported by transports. We'll see a transport eventually, and speaking of see it, we'll see you. Don't forget to tell a friend. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, support the Rat Pack. We thank you so much for your support too over these years. Been playing since the European escalation days, so I guess you could say I know a thing or two about Wargame Red Dragon, but not everything. Again, that's why it's good for you to support the noobs, including myself as well, by giving us details about all these great weapons and everything else. So if you've used these, if there are any pilots here, let us know. Nice back row seating, by the way, on that Panther. So a real good front seat to the action. So anyway, it's a wrap for the rest of Rat Pack, reminding you to keep the password pimp and strong. Thank you so much for your support and subscribing and all that good stuff. Leave a nice comment too. And until next time, we'll see you. Bye.